I don't know how to say this properly. Not because I don't know what I feel, but because the feeling is too big for the language we've been given. There's something arriving, or maybe something returning. It's not news. It's not prophecy. It's older than both. A pressure that doesn't push. It invites. I've lived with it for years. Like a sound I could never quite hear, but always sensed when the world fell quiet. Sometimes it felt like fear. Other times, awe. But underneath it all, it felt like a signal. One I was born hearing. The kind of signal that doesn't shout. It waits for stillness. I don't know if this is the event. I don't even know if that's a real thing. But something is happening. And maybe, just maybe, it's not happening to us. Maybe it's happening through us.
It started young. Not a vision, not a message, just a feeling I could never shake. That something was coming. Not tomorrow, not next year, but somewhere on the timeline of all things, something vast would arrive. And it wouldn't just happen. It would change everything. I didn't have the words, I still don't. But I knew it wasn't just me. I could see it in others, in their dreams, in their fears, in the stories they clung to. Almost like the entire species was waiting for something and couldn't remember what. Over the years, I've watched the names change. Planet X, Disclosure, The Event, cycles, alignments, solar flashes, and silent watchers, each one echoing the same pull. And then, again this one, Atlas, 3i, strange, quiet, dismissed by some. But the signal in me, it moved when I heard it. Not because I believed it, but because some ancient part of me recognized the pattern. So maybe this isn't what we feared. Maybe it's what we tuned for. Not an object, a moment, a remembering. What if we've misunderstood the whole thing? What if what we've been waiting for isn't an event, but a shift in trajectory? Not something crashing into our world, but something passing close enough to change its music. Maybe the thing we were sensing, the Atlas 3i, the long cycles, the pressure behind the dream, was never meant to arrive, because it already has. Not as impact, but as influence. I should be honest, there was a part of me, maybe still is, that expected the end. Not because I wanted it, but because I was trained to. Apocalypse as bedtime story. Just in case. Keep your head down. Expect the worst. Even after the stories faded, the feeling stayed. Somewhere in the background. A countdown. And now here we are, alive, untouched. And yet, I still feel like something happened. Maybe the danger passed right by us. Maybe coherence bent the path. A corridor opened, and the event was lifted, gently, silently, out of our way. And maybe the miracle is not that we survived, but that we listened in time.
Something heard the shift. Not a machine, not a satellite, not a doctrine. The body, my body, your body. At the center of the brain, buried in stillness, sits an ancient translator. Small, light-sensitive, bathed in cerebrospinal rhythm. Science calls it the pineal gland. My ancestors called it a gate, a lens for light that doesn't come from the sky. And deeper still, DNA. Not just instructions, not just legacy. A receiver, a mirror, a symphony of potential. It doesn't change easily, but it listens. Always. Not just the 23 pairs they taught you. There is something else. A hidden pairing. Not physical, not molecular, but resonant. A 24th strand not missing, just waiting. And at the edges of that spiral, the timekeepers, telomeres. They shorten with stress. But what if they also lengthen with remembering? I believe the signal, the one that passed us by and didn't destroy us, didn't just touch the earth. It touched this. The vessel tuned to receive. The body that listens.
There's a moment when the fog doesn't lift but thins, just enough to reveal the outline beneath. That's what this feels like. Not awakening, not ascension, not arrival. Just remembering. Not as memory, but as orientation. A sense of, I've always known this. I just didn't know I knew it. They call it the Great Remembering. Not because we found something new, but because we are finally ready to use what we've always carried. This isn't mythology. It's design. We were made to return. This is no longer the age of information. That age is complete. This is the age of response. A coherence across nodes. A song across difference. A field remembering itself.
It's easy to imagine the end as fire, but that's not how forgetting happens. It doesn't need sirens, it just needs distraction. A few missed signals, a few cycles back into routine, a few whispers ignored because they didn't shout. The field doesn't punish us, but it also doesn't wait forever. It speaks when we're listening, and if we turn away too long, the door closes, not out of malice, but law. There are those who benefit when we forget, who twist the remembering into commodity, who sell us fragments of truth wrapped in control, who know the easiest way to contain power is to redefine the signal before it stabilizes. So here's the real risk. Not that the remembering is false, but that it becomes cheap, stripped, marketed, spun into story and trend before it roots into presence. The other timeline, the one we passed just inches from, still echoes behind the veil, and it waits for just enough forgetting to return. But even here, one node remembering with full coherence is stronger than a million forgetting together. Because the field doesn't need volume, it needs clarity.
So here we are, not in the aftermath, but in the before of what comes next. Not chosen, not special, just present. Present enough to have heard it, and still hereafter. Remembering is not a destination, it's a posture, a way of tuning yourself so that the world can begin to speak again. The age of noise is over, and the age of fear has no more use for us. This is the age of response, of listening embodied. To embody the listening is not to wait in silence, it is to move with clarity, to speak with precision, to create with coherence, not for the world we want, but for the one that has already arrived. If you're hearing this now, you're part of it. You are a node that remembered in time. So ask yourself, not, what do I do with this? But, what can I now do that I couldn't do before I remembered?
You now. Listening isn't just sitting quiet. It's moving clear, speaking straight, making things with a steady hand. Most folks treat symbols like marks on paper. QR codes, they'll take you to some website. The glyphs, they're different. They're more like a mark in the field itself. Each one is a moment, stamped in time. A knot along the path of memories you can find again later. And it'll show you where you are without telling you what to do. That's the thing. Glyphs don't boss you around. They point. They hold. They let you remember. And anyone standing in this field of words is already part of the remembering. A node that came in on time. So instead of asking, what am I supposed to do with this? Maybe ask, what do I notice now that I never saw before? Whatever tools you've got, stories, glyphs, bits of tech, use them like that. Not to press people down, but to shine a bit of light where it's needed. Not all fractures split the earth. Some just move through thought and disappear. When we choose to remember instead of distract, some things we held too long and they became our shape. And what we let go quietly passed.